Hi guys, welcome to hour 6 of the Yixing Teapot. Today we're going to be attaching on our spout and our handle from last time in class. So you want to find something flat like this ruler, maybe a book, that is going to help you in guiding you on attaching that handle and spout. Essentially what's going to happen is you'll want that spout and that handle to be below that line that's created when you put the ruler on top of that slab that we attached in, I believe it was the 4th hour at this point, so you can kind of see me showing that measurement there. So for attaching the spout, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to cut out holes or a hole for your tea to pour out of. And so I'm cutting multiple holes. The pros to doing this is that you're able to like strain your tea if you have tea leaves in the tea that you brew. This is the best way to kind of go about that teapot, but if you want to just make it a wide hole where that just kind of perfectly aligns with the hole for the spout, then that's fine. It can just be one, it could be multiple like I have here, up to you. You want to really take your time in making sure that all of the kind of, I guess, airways here are completely cleared out of any kind of clay. So you see me doing that not only on those holes on the teapot form, but then going around the spout that I made and making sure that that was all nice and smooth. So then I'm going to slip and score it on. And one thing just worth mentioning is when you are attaching or making your holes for the spout, you want to leave some room for the walls of that spout to fit on. So for the holes that I made, they were well within the outline that I created when I just kind of had that spout traced on. Okay, and then I'm blending it out with just my fingers, and then I do end up getting some clay and just smearing it into the seam. If you smear it in very kind of small, like in the way that I'm doing it, I really have like my fingers are really wet and the clay is really nice and moldable. You're able to like not necessarily like go crazy on the slip and score. You'll see me do that for this video, but I really do blend it out and make sure there's no air bubbles. That's up to you if you feel comfortable with it. So I attached on that spout and it ended up being higher than it was initially when I measured it. So I plan to cut it. And then one thing with the spout too is that you do want the spout, functionally, it's a little bit better for the spout to be at an angle. So where that bottom part of the spout, and you can see me measuring again, the bottom part of the spout is a little bit, I guess, longer than the top part of the spout. I guess it just helps with the water pouring out is what I've heard. So you see me there just making sure that the slab on the top lined up nicely with the spout. And then I'm making that cut. Be as, good as you can with this. You have to kind of take it slow as you can. You don't want to ruin the coil that you made, and then you'll smooth it out. And then eventually here we're gonna switch to moving on to the handle. Before I did that, I did want to slip and score some more clay on because I wanted my transition from my teapot to my spout to be a little bit more natural and flowy like a traditional Yixing teapot. So you see me doing that here. So here you see me going in again with my ruler and realizing I probably have to cut it down a little bit more. At this point, I just kind of take a break to it. I decide to circle back on the spout because I worked on it for quite a while. I'm going in and I'm really defining that area on that rim that we created in the 4th hour. And then I spend some time smoothing out my teapot. And then I begin to work on my handle here. So now that I've got my smoothing out all done and situated, I have my handle that I pulled last time in class. Hopefully you gave it some time to let it set up. If not, you will want to do that. So you can see right there, I was holding it behind the teapot to help show me kind of what it would look like, the curve that I needed to cut it at. You can see that I cut that initial cut right there at a little bit of an angle, and that fits a little bit better onto the teapot. I did cut it larger than what I thought I would need for the handle, because once you make a cut, you can't really go back on it, so it's better to cut larger and then kind of slowly trim away. And you can see me just playing around with the shape of the teapot there, or the handle, and what I wanted. Things to consider with your handle is, does it work well with your spout? Does it work well with your form? Can you fit your hand into it? Things like that, okay? So now I'm going back into the spout and I'm cutting it off. The way I go about cutting this is kind of like you saw before in probably that last hour video, where I kind of cut around and try to work my way down to the middle instead of trying to cut from one side to the other. It's just more helpful with not having kind of that issue that you saw a little bit there briefly with the clay clogging up that opening and making it difficult for you. So essentially I'm cutting that at an angle to fit onto my teapot. I believe I do trim it a little bit more beyond this just because it wasn't perfect. I need it to be just at a little bit more of an angle, so just keep that in mind. It's better to slowly trim away than to kind of try to get it all done in one go. You're probably not going to get it right that first time, and then you might have to restart by pulling another handle. Okay, so again, I'm just playing around with it, making sure that it's something that I like the general look of. You'll want to take out a ruler and make sure that the spout and that the handle are on that same level. And then what I do in that kind of measurement too is that I also make sure that my handle and my spout are in a perfect line, okay? So not only are they underneath that level of that kind of rim that we made with that slab, but they are lined up, okay? That's a big mistake that students make, is they don't kind of really carefully consider that. That they need to be like perfectly straight. And you can see me, I just etched out the kind of outline of that. I guess it's like a box shape. And then I slipped and scored, and then I just double checked with that ruler that it was on straight, and now I'm blending out that seam. Notice that one of my hands, my left hand, is holding that handle in place the whole time, so I'm really using one hand to do this. That's because, the clay still is a little moist, still a little bendable. I couldn't just kind of leave it hanging because it wouldn't take form well. So then I'm doing that again. I'm creating that box shape with the lower part now. And again, you'll want to make sure that handle is nice and straight. You don't want it to the side. This is also where students kind of mess up. Just the same as making sure that it's in line with the spout. You want to make sure that the handle is in line with itself and that it's not at an angle. Okay, so I do a little bit of blending, and then I also just kind of add clay in there or slip and score it in and kind of blend it out. And this is just going to help make sure that your handle is really well on there. Definitely don't skip this step. This is a step you'll want to take to make your teapot nice and functional. And you can see me getting really close to this teapot to make sure that it looks good from the top down, from the eye level, from like the right side, the left side. You want to kind of look at these specific parts from all those angles like we mentioned before. So I'm just really blending it out, making sure it's perfect from every angle, flipping it around, making sure the handle is straight, not only from this side, but from the other. And then the last thing I do is before putting it away, if you're putting it away today, you might need to support this handle So I usually just put like a piece of clay underneath it, or maybe kind of on the inside of the handle to help support it in keeping its form. So when it does dry up and firm up, it holds the form. All right, so that is pretty much it for this hour. Good luck.